Hi guys, my name is Bushra Gajam and we're here for the Not Boxed podcast with John. The episode today is going to be called False Promises. And I think the best way to start this podcast is by taking a guess of why I called it False Promises. From our last conversation, we talked about false promises, and why do you think I chose that as a title?
Because I've said it a lot in our conversation, and I'm 25 now, and I've had gone through a lot of systems within employment and in traineeships, apprenticeships and stuff, from in the end to become all false promises and be let downs and stuff, to a point where I've built a plan of my career, my future, and progressing, and thought people was on board with me, to the point where it gets to that point, and it's not. It's just people, signing off figures, making their reports look good, to say they've engaged so many young people or got so many people in employment and things like that. So,
okay, John, if you were going to give me a little overview of your career journey from the moment you decided to become a dancer to now, in 30 seconds, what would you say?
So I started off with Rio Foundation on their youth leader program when I was about 18, 19. I was in college. I dropped out of college because it wasn't the right path for me. I wanted to pursue a career in dance, and I knew that my main goal was to be a creative director. I'd follow other people in the States that were dancers and choreographers and had become a creative director, so I thought that was the path for me. College disbelieved that I'd become a dance teacher or anything of the sort, or make a dance career out of dance. I actually got told in college that if I was to leave college and didn't go to uni, that I would never become a dance teacher and stuff.
Who were you told that by?
By an actual dance tutor. She said to me that if you leave college now and don't do your level 3 and go on to uni, that you will never get.
This is my problem, yeah. Sorry to cut you off, but this is my problem. Do you know, like, people that haven't made it, or people that don't have so much self-belief and so much self-worth, or don't think it's possible to achieve anything, they start reflecting or throwing that negative energy on others because they couldn't do it. They think everyone else can't.
Well, to be fair with you, I at that time I was a young carer myself, so I had caring responsibilities for my dad. So I had the backing of Rio Foundation, and I had the backing of the Carer Centre, Salford Carer Centre at the time. And she actually came in with me, a lady from the Carer Centre, and actually discussed it with my tutor, and she said to my tutor, you shouldn't be telling a young person that they can't achieve their dreams, and how can you determine that in all that a piece of paper can, that if he doesn't get a piece of paper, a certificate, that he will never progress within the career that he wants to. Like, in my mind, it's determination. It's just you keep going at it, and I believe that qualifications are good and they help you. It's a bit of a proof that you've done something, but I believe that talent and determination and actual showcasing what you can actually do is the better way of going forward.
Right. Do you know, when I spoke to you last week and you said you've been given a lot of false promises?
Yeah.
You told me about this dance school where they made you... I'm not going to tell your story. I want you to tell your own story.
Yeah.
But tell us a little bit about that journey and what false promise they gave you.
So Rio Foundation obviously have been a big support for me, and obviously massive loads of young people.
Yeah. By the way, we're not making him praise the Rio Foundation. He's doing it on his own.
No. But Rio Foundation was the ones that, after I left college, they helped to find a different path within dance and help me achieve me teaching dance. So I ended up shadowing with a dance school. They took me on as a casual worker at the time, and because I wasn't qualified, and said, yeah, you can dance, but you need to learn how to teach dance the correct way and safely. So I shadowed a few of their dance teachers for a good 2 years or so, and alongside that I was shadowing them, getting the experience of teaching kids all the way from 4 all the way up to 16. They said to me, we'll put you through 2 exams, so it'd be IDTA pre-associate, which was like your student one. So then that would mean that I could be a co-choreographer or a co-dance teacher and shadow and teach alongside an actual one. And then associate, which was like your full teaching qualification. I achieved both of them. I did both exams. I revised. I knuckled down. I did it all.
How long did it take you?
A good 2 years. So I was stressing out, especially for my second exam, because I was worried that I wouldn't pass it, and I was making sure that I had to learn dances. I had to demonstrate dances to my examiner and everything like that.
Yeah.
And then COVID happened, unfortunately, but I bit the bullet, and I was furloughed, and like everyone else, we all struggled through that. And then when we come out the end of COVID, I was like, right, I've completed my dance exams. Can I become a dance teacher? Now, I appreciate that sometimes companies have funding and they can't pay people and stuff, but you made a promise to me that once I had completed my exams and I had proved myself, which I believe in my own way that I did, more so, that you would give me a job teaching dance and stuff. The most I got was, oh, we can have a 5-hour contract. Now, me as a young person who wants to progress, that's not financially feasible. I mean, now I've got a family, but at the time I didn't even have a family. I had bills to pay off myself and stuff. So 5 hours was not enough. I wanted something a lot more sustainable. In fact, then 5 hours was what I was actually still doing as a casual worker. So they just basically changed my contract from casual to, oh, actually I'm actually working for them, but I'm still doing 5 hours.
Yeah.
So they were just basically saying, instead of being casual, so then with casual, it's touch and go whether you actually get your hours. They were just basically saying, you can definitely have them 5 hours.
That is crazy. Okay.
But then my point is, I get that funding and companies have funding to pay employees and stuff, but provisionally you should not make a promise if you don't have uncertainty of being able to keep that person on. They basically they hadn't planned it. They just said, oh, we'll give you a job, but they hadn't thought of actually, oh, well, is there actual work for him?
Yeah.
Can I actually pay him? Can we actually afford to pay him this? In the end, after these false promises, that it made more sense that I was there to fill in the gap for, like, right, as an extra person, an extra body. Because sometimes dance teachers weren't able to do stuff, or we'd have big shows and that, and they'd need an extra person to chaperone children around. So I was just an extra person to them to fill in the little gaps that they couldn't quite fill. It takes a droplet to cause a wave. So this is one thing. I mean, me coming on this podcast today, my mum said one thing to me, because I was like, I was a bit unsure at first, and she said, you might be that droplet to cause a wave. So if you cause a wave, then other people around you start standing up.
Let's talk about your mum and dad for a second.
Yeah.
You seem like you're very close to your family.
Yeah.
How close are we talking?
So
are they your source of like motivation, or your source of like knowing your worth?
So my mum and dad are. I mean, my dad, obviously, I've just lost my dad recently. But,
I'm so sorry to hear that.
No, it's obviously with his terminal illness and stuff, so we're not like, carrying responsibilities gone. But my mum and dad were the backbone of me being a young person. They're not like a lot of parents now. It's not wrong, but they say, oh, you must go to uni, you must do this, you must do that.
Like my parents.
Sorry, but
my parents are good.
Yeah. All parents are good, but you need to understand that everyone's thought processes are different.
No, yeah.
Right? So with my mum and dad, when I was doing college and doing dance, and I dropped out of college and I was stressing out, and I was like, where do I go from here? Like, I haven't got a clue. They was like, whatever happens, you do what you want to do. And they supported me quite financially quite a lot at one point, to the point where now if I ever became successful, I'd like to repay that back. But
I love that. Oh.
They've literally been the backbone of my career, and now I've got that train of thought that I want to carry on to my son. That whatever everyone tells you, oh, you should do it this way, you should do it that way. No, you do it your way. You always do it your way. And at the end of the day, there's no wrong or right way. Like, the system will tell you, you've got to go from college, you've got to go to school, you could do school. School itself is outdated. It doesn't teach you life skills.
Tell me about it.
It doesn't teach you life skills. I mean, I'm nearly 26. I just recently got a mortgage. I've just recently learned how to properly financial bills.
Wait, you're 26 now?
I'm nearly 26. So
Wait, how long have I known you for?
it's about 3-4 years.
No.
Probably.
Come on. 3-4 years?
Yeah.
Longer.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Wow. Okay, carry
So,
on.
but
Sorry.
I mean, they don't teach you them financial skills. They don't teach you how to get a mortgage. They don't teach you how to budget money and stuff.
They don't.
Sorry, but school itself is outdated. School itself is outdated. Then you go into sixth form or college, right? You're stressing. You get put on undurable amount of pressure in exams that if you don't get your GCSEs, then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, but I wasn't the most great person in getting exams. I lived in Wales when I was younger, and I had to move back to Manchester. I lost 3/4 of my GCSEs because there was different exam bodies.
Yeah.
And then I was low achieving in GCSEs. I still got into college.
How did that make you feel?
It was quite disheartening at the start, and if I put myself back there now, I was really, really upset, and I was really worried because it was like.
Did you feel like you?
I'd been put. I mean, this campaign's not boxed. I'd been put in a box. I'd put myself in a box that I couldn't see any outside of it. I mean, Wales itself. I wanted to do dance and stuff. The dance is not on the curriculum in Wales.
Oh, is it not?
I was when I came back to Manchester, I was like, what? Dance?
Yeah.
Dance is actually a thing. Now, if I'd always had my options, so I couldn't go for it.
Yeah.
But I was like, if I was back in Manchester, I'd do it. So in some ways I was disheartened, but in other ways I wasn't. I just thought, concentrate on the main ones, which is your maths, your English.
This is what I really don't like about grades, and this is what I really don't like about the academic system. They teach you in a certain way, okay, and obviously everyone's got different abilities, everyone's got different skills. Some people are leaders, some of them are like, speakers, some of them learn through doing, some of them learn through listening, some of them learn through watching. And I feel like the academic system is like, if you don't pass your exams this way, you're not smart enough or you're not intelligent enough. And they feed that lie to all these kids in school, and it's like you start getting compared by your friends, by your cousins, by your siblings. It's just like, maybe because God has gifted me something different from everyone else, and like the academic system is just not for me. And you know what, if you look at all these successful people, like the majority of them are like college dropouts. Some of them are like, basically they failed school, they didn't even get no grades. Have you heard of Gary Vee?
Yeah, I follow him a lot.
Yeah, I love, someone asked him this once, they were like, how did it feel when you failed school? He was like, I didn't fail school failed me.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Have you ever heard of Manchester-based, because obviously I'm learning marketing at the moment, Stephen Bartlett, Dragon's Den guy. He's the same.
Love him.
He's the same. He got kicked out of school and stuff all the time.
But he had to go back. Well, they asked him to come back to school because he was making them loads of money.
Yeah.
He was doing like this vending machine business and stuff like that. So he was an entrepreneur from day one. But obviously they didn't shine some light on the skills that we really need every day to make a living or to get through life. Do you know what I'm saying? They kicked him out because he wasn't doing well in school, and it's just like, it's mad.
The academic situation is it's a model just for one type of learner.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's Switzerland. They have different models and they work out what type of learner you are. So some people like writing and theory, and then others will learn from practical, actually physically hands-on stuff. And that is how school should be.
I've never heard that, I didn't know that they do something like that. Okay, I'm going to look that up. Oh, that's interesting. Thanks for that. But yeah, okay, let's talk about rethinking apprenticeships.
Yeah.
You said we need to start rethinking apprenticeships. Why? Tell me why.
Apprenticeships are not bad. I mean, I'm on one now.
What apprenticeship are you
So
doing?
I'm on a digital marketing apprenticeship now because I've gone from dance, and my aim goal is still to be a creative director. It's just took a different direction. So now, obviously, that's why I know of Stephen Bartlett and stuff, because I'm a digital marketer and they're all in the marketing industry. But apprenticeships are good, but they need to be fine-tuned a bit more because a lot of employers will take on apprentices to help them fill a gap to start off with, to make themselves look good. Oh, we've took on X amount of young people. They'll do it as a statistic thing. And again, false promises of if you finish your apprenticeship, how do I explain this? Oh, you're working in a company that if you prove yourself, you will get a job at the end of your apprenticeship, or there's no reason why you wouldn't get a job at the end of your apprenticeship. To be found out now that I might not be having a job at the end of the apprenticeship because of funding and because there's too many people in the team. Well, so hang on a minute, then you've took on an apprentice on false pretenses because you're putting the face up to say you're putting on this mirage of oh, we've got all these apprentices, look how many of them have been successful and stayed on with us, but you don't name how many haven't. So now I have to rethink what my strategy is and how my path's going to be away from that company.
Have you figured that out yet?
I've got something in mind, so we've worked it out that obviously I want to be a content creator to start off with and then move on to obviously eventually be building up towards the creative director role. So again, I do want to go to uni because I feel like that would give me the skills that I need. I have already got the skills I need, so even if I don't go on to uni now, I know that what's the word I'm looking for? I know that I'd achieve eventually. Yeah. I just feel like it would be a lot harder because again, a lot of employers will look at what someone's academic experience is instead of actually what their actual physical talent is and what they've actually done.
Do you feel? Listen, you were always a good guy. You were always a nice guy, yeah. But I feel like you've become very, very mature and wise recently.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that is because you're now a dad? And you're kind of like under the pressure to be a role model for your dad, for your son, for your dad, for your son?
Yeah, well, partly, but I think as well it's all the life experiences I've had. They've all shaped and moulded me into who I am now. And there's still things I know I'm learning. And every day is a day where you're learning. But yeah, I'd say that is mainly why the experiences of what I've had so far and the letdown and stuff. And I feel like, again, it comes back to putting that drop in the ocean, in the ocean and causing waves. If it causes waves now, young generations coming up will have a bit of an easier time than what we've had.
I like that. Okay. Okay, so this is the final question. Do you feel like, or has there been any support for young fathers like yourself? And do you feel, if the answer is yes, do you feel like they could do more? If the answer is no, do you still feel like they could do something?
Support as in?
Just like, I don't know, financial support, or maybe like, I believe that there's like this thing of you can only have your child in nursery part-time, not full-time, and then you're going to have to stop paying for it. Or
financial
like
support, right. Financial support is just as parents, not just as a father, as parents. I mean, obviously I believe that you've brought a child into the world, you should pay for him. I agree with that. Like, you should work hard and stuff, you should be a good role model, but the downside to that is now my little lad's going into nursery, and I'm still learning and still moulding in that, and I'm on a low wage. I'm working and I'm on an apprenticeship wage. I'm on better paid than some people, but I'm on a low wage. Yeah. And without my fiance as well, combining both our wages, we'd never be able to afford to get him into nursery. So it is ridiculous how much nursery costs today for young families and young people who have got children. At the end of the day, if they've got a child, but help them to help them financially to get their children into nursery 5 days a week, because then that helps them to spread their wings a little bit more and go into a career that they want, and help them up the ladder. And once they've got up the ladder, then they can be financially. It's a catch-22 situation in the day. You either pay for five. I mean, I think my son's nursery is about £200 £50 a day, so it's about £200 a week if you put him in for 5 days a week. Wow. So that's £1,000. Now, I just make over that. So if I was to put him in for a full month, all my wage would go on his nursery.
That is mad.
Bear in mind though, we've got mortgages and bills and everything else to pay as well. So without his grandparents, I mean, we're very lucky. People won't have that luxury of grandparents.
Yeah.
So what do? They have to stay at home and focus on looking after their child.
That is difficult, man. Wow. Okay. So, before recording this podcast, I asked you what you really, really want to talk about and what are the key points that you don't want to miss.
Yeah.
You said use and abuse system, which we've touched on already.
Yeah.
Kind of. And you've also used the word statistic.
Yeah.
Why?
Because everything comes down to statistics. Everything you hear of reports of, at the end of the year we've got to see how many people we've engaged into apprenticeships, how many people we've got to use up all this funding. Mm-hmm. We've got to get so many people out of unemployment. That's the government's way. That's the government's answer to apprenticeships. And I did the Kickstart scheme. The Kickstart scheme was a little bit like an internship.
Yeah.
And it was a thing that the government rolled out after COVID, and that was how I got onto my apprenticeship. That was a good thing to do. That was an actual alright thing to do, because it got people into employment. But it was a short-term answer to a long-term problem. Yeah. In the end, they ended up scrapping it.
They did, and they didn't fulfill their promise of how many Kickstart schemes were they supposed to give? I think, I don't know, 200,000 or so. I don't know, but it was a massive number, and I think they've only given 100,000 opportunities or something like this, which is good. It's amazing, honestly.
But out of them 100,000 opportunities, how many of them after their Kickstart placement have stayed on? That is what the question. That's the question that I'd ask anybody, because I bet you there's only a very small percentage of them that have stayed on, even though half of them have probably worked hard and probably proved themselves. Yeah. They've become false promises at the end because they've worked towards, I might get a job at the end of this. I might get a job at the end of this. But they don't. They end up back at square one. They might as well not have done that Kickstart scheme. Mm-hmm. Because they've been gaining the experiences, but they've not carried on being employed. Yeah.
Okay. If you had to describe your career journey in 3 words, what would it be?
Challenging. Roller coaster ride. Mm-hmm. More 3 words. But determined. Okay. If you had to describe your future in 3 words, what would 3 words be? Determined again.
Nice.
Slightly uncertain at the moment. Mm-hmm. But
uncertain.
Challenging.
Why uncertain?
Because I say uncertain because the road. I have a road that I go down, but there'll be obstacles in the way as you go. So it's uncertain of how I'm going to achieve it. I just know I'm going to achieve it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that. Okay, if you had to describe your apprenticeship right now in 3 words, what words would you use? You can use 1 word if that's easier.
I was trying to think of the words that I'd use. I'll say it in a phrase.
Okay, go on.
It's hard words. It's good. The apprenticeships are good. Apprenticeships are brilliant in regards to opening doors, but sometimes they need fine tuning in and rules need to be put in place that employers should not be taking on apprentice people just to line their own pockets.
Okay, cool.
Because I don't know how fully it works, but I know they get funding of some sort from the government.
Okay.
So if they want to boost their finances, they bring on an apprentice because they don't have to pay for them as such.
Yeah.
And it helps them look good.
So would you say brilliant?
Yeah.
And more thought out or planned?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, than the words.
Cool. And if you had to describe this podcast in 3 words, what would you say?
Eye-opening. Excellent. And not boxed.
Ooh, I like the 3rd word. Okay, cool. Thank you so much, John. It's honestly been so nice doing this with you. Oh my God, I've learned so much about you, today. But yeah, that's the end of today's interview. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Please check our Not Boxed campaign and our future campaigns, because honestly, the next year is going to be super exciting. But yeah, thank you, guys.